Welcome to episode 1 of the Extreme Gamer podcast. Today I'm going to be speaking with the light beer king himself, Danny Darko. Going to be talking about his memories playing the Sega Master System and Nintendo Entertainment System with his neighbours as a kid, up to some of his more modern memories of playing some of his more recent favourite games. So thank you very much for checking out the podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like on all the various platforms that you can find me on with a link in the description. Outside of that, we'll jump straight into it. Ladies and gentlemen, former Rise Hardcore Champion, DOA UK Tag Team and Heavyweight Champion, CXW Extreme Champion, KCW Deathwolf Champion, CZW TOD 21 entrant, and once very nearly got to compete in the CZW Junkyard, arguably the best looking member of the Deathmatch Outlaws, the Light Beer King, Danny Darko. Danny, how's it going, man?
Hey, yeah, guys. I'm good. I'm tired. I'm broke, but I'm good.
Fair enough. Very relatable in the Brit death scene.
Yeah, always the same. Never gets better.
Well, I'm going to jump straight into the video game side of things. What was the very first video game that you remember playing as a kid? Cast your mind back.
Okay, yeah. So I think because my memory from when I'm young is very fuzzy, very fuzzy. But the first one I remember off the top of my head is Sonic the Hedgehog on the Master System. 'Cause I remember long before I had any consoles, a kid down the road who I didn't particularly like very much. I don't think he liked me very much, but we had friends that were friends. So we'd go around his house every now and then and play Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't know if it was the first or second one, but I knew I very much wanted to be his friend after that moment, and it never happened.
That sucks. I love stories like that, the friend of a friend thing. You just get introduced to someone who has something that your friends like them for. Yeah, he might be alright, but he has got a Master System, so he's cool.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's funny because I knew several different things like that. So shortly after that, kids across the road from me got a Nintendo, but I was friends with them anyway. So I played Super Mario Brothers, and that actually reminds me, there was another kid around the corner who I don't think anybody liked, but he had a Nintendo and he had rich parents. And I remember one of the first games I remember playing was Hook. Did you
Okay,
ever play
yep.
Hook?
I
At the
didn't
time,
play it,
that was
no,
the
but I do
greatest
love
game.
the film.
Yeah. Well, the game is nothing like the film, but for some reason that was the greatest game of all time to like a little 6, 7-year-old Darko. Like when you got the uh, Tinkerbell, or whatever her name is, she'd sprinkle you the dust, you fly for like maybe 3 seconds through my little
Okay.
mind. So I spent years and years trying to get that game, and eventually I got it, and it's not as good. It's not as good.
Man, movie tie-ins at that point are pretty much universally awful. The Addams Family one, I don't think you could get much more loosely related than, okay, the characters look familiar and the setting is a haunted mansion. That's it. There's no other relation whatsoever, and that's pretty much the case for all the Nintendo movie tie-ins. And I don't think that really ended
Oh,
until the N64.
no. But I'm pretty sure I rented the Addams Family game at one time because I remember we used to be able to rent one game, one movie a week. And I'm pretty
Nice.
sure I rented Addams Family. I don't think I ever got past the first level.
Yeah. NES games as a rule, especially platformers like that, and I found the same with Chippendale Rescue Rangers and DuckTales, real OG games right there. Not very self-explanatory. It's a lot of just exploration and total guesswork, which I think is where a lot of '90s gamers look at games now, and people are just like, pathetic. You get everything handed to you.
I get that, but the amount of games, I definitely when I was a kid, the amount of games I rented, and I never got past the first level ever. On top of my head, it just popped in. James Bond Jr. I rented that 3 different times. I never got past the first level. But I was determined, and I still didn't get past the first fucking level.
Oh, that sucks, man. Well, being that those are rented ones and the others were games that you played with your friends, what was your first console or handheld, and what games did you play on that? Ones that Darko could put his own name on.
Yeah, so one Christmas we got a Super Nintendo, and with Super Nintendo we got Super Mario World, obviously, which was and still is a bang. I played it every year nearly, and we got a World War One flight simulator called Blazing Skies, and it was terrible, and I hated it, and I still hate it to this day. But when you've only got one game, you will play that game, or when you've only got two games, sorry, you will play both games eventually. And it's not a good one. Well, it might be a brilliant game, but I'm never going to play it again.
Stockholm Syndrome with games as a kid is a real thing. You get terrible games, but they're all you've got, so you learn to love them.
100%.
Are there any games that you kind of look back on and you feel that they never got the love they deserved?
Okay, so just off the top of my head, because I've never heard anyone talk to me about this. I remember, I don't know how it came into my possession, but on the Super Nintendo, we got a game called Run Saber, which is kind of like a knockoff of Strider, but it's like you can play it two-player. And with two people, if you got good at it, you can complete that game in about 2 hours. But I've completed that game like over and over again on repeat. It was a banger, but I've never heard people talking about it.
I'm
And
not gonna lie,
Crash
I've never
Test
heard of
Dummies.
it.
Well, Run Saber was banger, and Crash Test Dummies. I love Crash Test Dummies. Apparently, it's terrible, but I still love it. The best thing about Crash Test Dummies was that your health bar was your limbs. So if you got hit, you'd lose an arm, then you lose another arm, and eventually you'd just be hopping around on your torso. Ah, and the music was incredible.
Nice. I used to love the toys.
Yeah, I had all the toys as well. That's probably why I had the game. But it was probably one Christmas I probably got all the toys in the game at once.
Nice. Nice, man. Well, the flip side of the coin to that, which games are loved by everybody that you just don't like? You just think they're trash?
Ugh. Well, the obvious one, I've bought cheap like CEX prices, like a lot of the Call of Duty games. And since Call of Duty 2, I can't even play the story mode. Like I just can't fathom how people get into it. I get the multiplayer aspect, but the last time I played a multiplayer game was Alien vs Predator 2 on the
Nice.
PC, and then since that day, never again. It's like I liked it, but I just couldn't get into it. But yeah,
Ah,
I say it
fair
was
enough.
the Call of Duty story modes because I really wanted to get into them because I played the first two, and they were like crazy. But and other than that, nothing springs to mind really.
Fair
Zelda,
enough.
fucking hate
Ze-
Zelda.
oh, 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 that's a controversial one.
Yeah.
Right, well, we'll
Again,
leave the.
I haven't played any of the super. Sorry, I haven't played any of the super modern ones. But like, I think the last one I played was on GameCube, and I just it didn't gel with me.
Cool. You're not going to say you didn't like Wind Waker, the cell shaded one.
It probably was, but again, I was like at the age where that was not cool, so that was probably why.
Fair enough. That makes sense. We'll leave standard games to one side for the time being, and we'll jump into the world of wrestling games. Now, anyone who's followed my Instagram page or my Facebook, anything like that for a while, knows that I love the ECW games. I love the old school SmackDown
Oh,
games. Don't get me wrong, the ECW ones, they're the gaming equivalent of a face only a mother could love.
yeah, they are
Like, yeah,
trash.
objectively they are awful, but they are all that we got. They are all we got, and I do not include the WWE games with WWE ECW in there.
Well, we got some No Mercy mods. They did a bit of a better job.
Very true, very true. I checked some of those out recently that are very, very, very good. Well,
Yeah.
with that in mind, what was the first wrestling video game that you played, and what were your kind of initial impressions of it?
Okay, there's a quick story and then there's a bit of a longer one. So the first one is a kid across the road with a Nintendo. I remember he rented WrestleMania on the NES, and I remember sitting there, and I liked wrestling at the time because I was a child, and I like wrestling now because I'm a child. But it was terrible. No one could work out how to do anything on the game. It was absolutely abysmal. So fast forward, I don't know how many years. Fast forward, and my older brother got Super WrestleMania on the SNES, and it looked better, but it was terrible. It was terrible. But we played the hell out of that game. No one could work out how to do anything. But thank God we finally got SmackDown and obviously the N64 games. But it took me a long time to get an N64.
Yeah, for sure. You weren't a big fan of Warzone and Attitude, smacking in combos like it's
No,
Mortal Kombat?
no, I rented Warzone when I first got my PlayStation, and it was fucking terrible. And all I remember specifically, my most vivid memory was trying to play a cage match, and there was no ropes around the ring. It's just like this
Yeah,
is not
that
for me.
that and the
I
terrible commentary.
yeah, I think I played. No, I definitely did because I had my PlayStation. One of the first games I got for PlayStation was WCW versus the World, and the gameplay on that is a million times better than Warzone and Attitude and ECW and all those games.
I think those ones were made by Aki, weren't they? Even the
They were,
PlayStation
they
versions were
were.
Aki games.
Yeah, the Versus the World was like the prequel to World Tour because I like two things like half the say there was like 40 guys, 30 of them were all like Japanese names with the wrong name.
Yeah.
And then there were maybe 10 WCW guys. And I remember particularly if you picked Hollywood Hogan or Sting and instead of pushing X, you push start, you get Surfer Sting or you get Hulkamania, which blew my mind. And if you won a match by tap out, they wouldn't just tap, you'd hear a big bone break and you go,
Nice.
but yeah,
You didn't
the
venture
gameplay
into.
difference. Sorry, go
Sorry,
on.
go ahead.
Yeah, the gameplay difference between Burst the World and Warzone was mind blowing. It's probably
Yeah,
why I
for
became such a
sure.
big WCW fan over WWF in the 2000 or 99s. Whatever.
Saying that, you didn't venture into backstage assault then. That didn't sour things.
Oh, I got backstage assault. With I like one birthday, I had birthday money, and I walked. It was a Woolworths. I walked up the counter with ECW rules on the PlayStation, and then literally as I was about to get it, I looked at the corner of my eye, and I seen backstage assault, and I was like, "Ooh, getting that. That sounds way better." Hindsight is probably about the same. But they ID'd me. I didn't get either, but I did get it the next day. Backstage assault. I remember
Uh,
playing as Vampiro, being able to set people on fire was banger.
Fair enough. We'll take that. We all tried to buy CDs or videos or games when we were underage at that point. Did you ever try the? Yeah, I'm getting it for my brother. He's a few aisles down shopping with my mum. He's old enough though. I just need to get it for him.
No, no. I knew I'd get it the next day anyway. I was walked off disappointed and heartbroken, and then got home with it the next day, disappointed and heartbroken.
With or without it, still a terrible feeling.
Hmm.
Do you have any stories of totally ignoring the "don't try this at home" message and trying out any of the moves on your friends or family as a kid?
I think, yeah, obviously we all backyarded a little bit. I backyarded a little bit later than that, but I was still a kid, so I would have been like probably about 15, 14. And I remember specifically getting a friend to help my younger brother, who was a lot bigger than me, to pick me up for a power bomb. And the idea being, pick me up and then literally we said, put me down slowly and on camera we'll speed it up. And the fucking bastard fucking picked me up and jackknifed me. It was just dirt, but it was like in the middle of summer. It was rock hard. I didn't breathe for about 30 seconds. And then that was
That's
me done
rough.
backyarding for a little bit. Yeah.
Oh,
Not
that
to mention
sucks, man.
the friend who helped would always say if we had a ladder match in the backyard and wrestling, that's the name. He would always just run and grab the belt like it was a shoot. And then they
Right.
just, I lost interest very quickly when no one knew how to work at 14, 15 years old.
Just immediately left these amateurs behind. Well, they weren't very good in your garden. They weren't very good in the garden. But do you have any specific memories of playing wrestling games with friends or family?
Oh, obviously, No Mercy. Played the hell out of No Mercy. I remember I remember swapping my PlayStation and SmackDown 1 and Backstage Assault with a friend for his N64 and No Mercy. And he begged me. He begged me not to play the career mode. He's like, don't touch it because it will delete everything. And I was thinking, you don't know what you're talking about. So I played the career mode and I go back to play it and everything's deleted. Everything's deleted, obviously. So I spent the next 3 days in survivor mode with Prairie Saturn because I looked it up and just doing the low sweep like over and over again, unlocking everyone back up. I did it. He got it back. He never knew anything happened. But then another one that I think is underrated that people don't talk about was SmackDown 2, the Royal Rumble mode. There were like 6 or 7 different moves where you can throw people clean out the Rumble. It's like the super power bomb, I remember, but the funny one was like the toss where you just grab someone's legs and fall backwards. And you can throw people clean over the top rope with it. Like just with a multi tap, 4 people playing that. That was a hell of a night, a couple of nights.
Man, those Royal Rumble modes were great because if I remember rightly, if you eliminate someone, they can just press start whenever someone else comes down the ramp, so you just keep
Yeah,
cycling through.
yeah.
No, that's very, very cool. I used to love playing that as well. Well, with those old games, what were your favourite gimmick matches on those? So whether it be obviously the Royal Rumble, eventually we started to get Hell in a Cell, TLC. Of your favourites, obviously your experience in person is very different. How do you feel that they were represented in the older games versus real life?
Or it depends, because I like so the N64 games weren't too bad, but I always remember on the SmackDown 2 specifically and SmackDown 3, you would get a chair or a sledgehammer and you swing it, and the person would even fall down. They just wobble, so you'd be better off not using it at all. And obviously, because we were kids, I remember SmackDown 2, there was a I was going to say eight. It definitely wasn't eight. A four man hardcore match where it was a 15-minute time limit, like the WrestleMania 2000 thing. So the last one to get the pin wins. We'd play the hell out of that, but you'd be swinging chairs and sledgehammers at each other, and nobody was ever going down for anything. But yeah, so that match, and funny enough, all my friends wanted to play Hell in a Cell all the time. And very early on, I hated playing those gimmick matches because it wasn't realistic. So even from like maybe 16 years old, because I was still obsessed with wrestling, I would want to play singles matches and make it look realistic, where no one could do that because they would just try and win, or they'd try and hit like 20 stunners and then still finishes and stuff.
Like you're saying with the weapons, a lot of them are big overhand swings as well. So the sledgehammer was
Yeah,
genuinely swung like you're trying to break some blocks.
yeah, and like the person would literally just give it one of these.
Same with the
It wouldn't
barbed
do
wire
any
bat.
damage. Yeah, atrocious. I think it was I think it was, yeah, Here Comes the Pain. I think it was the first one where the actual, when you hit someone, it connected and they went down. Because I think even Shut Your Mouth, no one ever went down for anything. Yeah, Shut Your Mouth.
Um, with those older games, obviously starting back from Warzone and being disgusted, what were your first reactions to seeing the graphical improvements to the wrestling games over the years? So jumping from Warzone to SmackDown, from SmackDown to obviously you then get Just Bring It all the way up to SmackDown versus Raw.
To be honest, I don't know how. I remember like short certain memories. I remember very specifically a friend of mine got SmackDown on a demo disc, and you could only play as I think it was The Rock, Stone Cold, Kane, and Undertaker. And we were like obsessed with the graphics. Like they were a million times better than No Mercy. It convinced us it was a better game. But then again, the graphics didn't. I don't think the graphics really jumped again until Shut Your Mouth, and then it took a long time after that. I just never really been one that was obsessed with graphics. Even as a young kid, I don't think it really impressed me all too much.
Okay, fair enough then. So it's more about the content than the visual presentation.
Yeah, I think like again, the like visual presentation. I don't know if this would come under it, but I remember the first time it went from the just the walking in front of the Titantron to a full entrance. I thought that was far more impressive than like a picture stuck on someone's face.
For sure. So it was originally just I think several frames of the Tron video with the character walking in front of it with no ramp, no stage, nothing. And then went from
Yeah,
that to, as you say, the full SmackDown stage, the full Raw stage with screens either side.
yeah, 100. Yeah.
Well, with that in mind, thinking back to Legends of Wrestling, ECW, Backyard Wrestling, are there any wrestling game franchises that you feel deserve a revival or possibly a reimagining, maybe a best of and a reskin, something like that?
Well, I thought Legends of Wrestling was pretty good. Not so much the first
Same.
one.
I know it's controversial. People hate those
Yeah.
games, but I thoroughly enjoyed Legends of Wrestling.
I thought the third one, it was a bit glitchy, but the roster was incredible. I thought it had a hell of a soundtrack. I thought it was pretty good. I liked it a lot. I played the hell out of it. The second one is I love because it's the only game I've ever been able to. Sorry, the only game I've ever been able to take a steel chair and climb to the top rope and jump over and brain someone with it. And also you can play as Big Daddy, which is always fun. And I would absolutely loved if the backyard wrestling games were more realistic. Like if it was a wrestling game,
Yeah.
like a modern, like I don't know, what's the last WWE game I played? Like 2022, I think, where it's a bit more realistic, but it was in a backyard, and you could play as Vampiro and Shaggy Two Dope and Madman Pondo instead of like jumping off a roof and spinning 7 times and dropping someone on the head and then they get back up. Mr. Bing, I hated so much back then when it first came out. You could never finish a match with a pinfall. It was always a knockout. You could pin them, but they would never go down. If you gave me a realistic backyard wrestling, And then obviously put in some backyard names like Josh Prohibition and M Dog 20 and all this, and Notorious D, which was my backyard name. Put them guys in.
Oh, we could definitely see Notorious D making his backyard wrestling appearance. I mean, with Acclaim coming back in recent weeks, the announcement that Acclaim is back up and running, they've resurrected the company. You never know; it could be on the cards. We can start a little petition, get some names on. I,
Yeah,
for one, would
well,
love to see that. Given that indie wrestling, and particularly deathmatch wrestling, is in the state that it's in right now, the boom period that it's had the last several years, I can't see there being a better time for it.
no, well, I'd be up for it. That'd be a hell of a fun, as long as it was proper wrestling and not like the big flips, like I said. But I do want this career mode where it's like a Jerry Springer, you know?
Okay, cool. So we're
Yeah, from
taking
the I
some of
think
the
it's the
old
second
school,
one.
some of the new school.
Yeah,
We're going to make a new product hybrid between the two.
100.
Well, there we go. Acclaim, if you're listening, we've got Darko on board. We've told you what we want to see. Final question on kind of the old school games. Do you have any memorable what if scenarios that you played out as a kid, or even back up to some of the more modern games, fantasy matchups that never happened or you never saw in real life, or potentially even just one of those things that I think we all did as a kid? I don't like that guy. I'm gonna put him in like a 3-on-1, 4-on-1, and just a massive battle royale. What kind of memories do you have of doing stuff like that?
Okay, so it'd be the same story over and over again for a long, long time, and even really to this day to an extent. I don't like Shawn Michaels. I thought he's
Okay.
massively overrated. I get that he's one of the best of all time, but I do think he's massively overrated at the same time, which is a odd thing to say. So quite often, if I was playing a game with someone first time and they need to learn the buttons, it'd always be a 2-on-1 against Shawn Michaels every single time. I don't know where the like dislike came from, but it just did from a long time ago.
Just I need to get my bearings on this new game. I'm just gonna smash up the Heartbreak Kid for a few minutes.
Pretty much, pretty much.
Right, so let's dive into some quick fire questions. First answer is multiple choice. For some of these, others need a little bit more thought. First answer off the top of your head: Nintendo or Sega?
Sega,
Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation,
What is the best Mario game?
Mario 3, and not even close, not even fucking close.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick. I do like that one. What is the best racing game?
Um, I'm not a big
This one
racing
gets a
game
bit trickier.
fan. I'm not a
Oh,
big
okay.
racing game fan, but from the games I have played, what was it called? I think it's called Extreme G. It's kind of like F-Zero, but like a bit
Yeah,
more modern. Yeah, I did like
yeah.
that. And
Extreme
I
G was
also,
rad.
a long time ago on a PC, well, on the PC, I had a game called Roll Cage. That
Roll
was
Cage
pretty
is
cool.
rad.
Or maybe even Diddy Kong Racing. I always thought Diddy Kong Racing was pretty cool.
Well, you look at the new Mario Kart game that's been announced. Oh, it's an open world exploration driving game. Diddy Kong Racing
That's
did
a
that back on
terrible
the
idea.
N64.
Yeah, but it's a terrible idea as well. Like, I don't
Not to mention the price tag you got to spend on a Switch 2 and then the game to actually get to enjoy it.
exactly. Not for me.
What is
Not for
the
me.
what is the best controller?
I want to say PS2, but realistically, it's probably the PS4. Maybe the
That's
360.
fair.
Maybe the 360.
Okay, you're not throwing it back to the old Xbox Duke, the big boy.
No, that is what I have for my Xbox, but no, that's horrible.
Oh, fair enough. Well, off the back of that, then the worst controller,
The worst controller, like how far back are we going?
as far back as you like. If you want just a joystick and two buttons, or if you want the three-pronged N64.
It's got to be the Commodore 64 joystick.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't play
pretty
a whole lot of
ropey.
it, but what I did was terrible.
Fair enough. Who could you beat in a fight? Crash Bandicoot, Sonic the Hedgehog, or Kirby? Now, bear in mind, Crash can
Yeah,
spin you, Sonic is fast, Kirby can suck you up. No pun intended.
Kirby's a little OP. It's probably going to be Crash. I think I could kick Crash's ass.
Yeah,
Yeah, I kick his ass. Yeah.
fair enough. There we go. Fantasy bookers on WWE 2K. You can get that one made. Who is your go-to Mario Kart character? Now, I love the memes of this. Don't want to hear about your star sign. I want to know who you choose in Mario Kart.
Probably just Donkey Kong, just for the initials.
That
No other
makes
reason.
sense. Yep, that's fair. That's fair. Best console of all time.
PlayStation 2, all day, every day.
Yep, I think I can agree with that. And then best game of all time.
Fallout New Vegas.
See, I never got into the Fallout games. I think that would be one of my many controversial takes. I just never got
Well,
into Fallout.
I've literally just finished. It must be my 10th or 11th playthrough of Fallout New Vegas, including all the DLC, beginning to end, doing all the side quests, and it still blows my mind. It's incredible. I think I even did a couple missions I never did before.
Nice. There is a lot of content in those Fallout games.
Well, I would say if you ever gonna give it another try, New Vegas is by far the best one. It's like sorry, none of the other Fallout games are even close to Fallout New Vegas. It is
Okay,
incredible.
fair enough then. Well, then the final question for you regarding the games: who would be a good group of characters to get on the beers with the Light Beer King? Say you could choose three to get on a session with. Who are you going for?
Um, I don't know. They have to be like
I
proper
mean,
video game
Donkey Kong
characters, don't
could
they?
pound beers.
Yeah, I was thinking Donkey Kong. I was thinking more realistically Candy Kong.
Okay, fair.
Um, yeah. And they can't be like people like it can't be RoboCop obviously because he's not. Uh,
Hey, this is in video game land. You can choose whoever you like, and obviously with the
yeah,
recent
no, but
RoboCop
that'd be
with the
cheap.
recent RoboCop game, he'll count.
Yeah, but then I'll just pick Ric Flair 3 times. Uh, yeah, we're gonna go Donkey Kong just not to be a pervert. I'm trying to think of. I'm gonna go Bugsby, whatever his name is, Bugsy, because like everyone forgets about him, and I feel like if they're like mascots, it's a bit easier. And Blasto,
Fair enough. Couple of niche pickouts there.
yeah, they have to be niche though, because everyone else goes on the piss with like Mario and stuff, don't they?
Yeah, that's true. Well, there's a couple of cool names there.
Not cool, but they're unique.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. Well, time is running up on the call, so I appreciate your time today, dude. Really do. This weekend, I know April 12th, you're up in Scotland for Bleeding Gums Wrestling Lust for Death Tournament 2. The lineup for that one is looking absolutely ridiculous with
Bad.
Necro, Mickey Knuckles, Iceman, yourself, Joe, Lou, Caden, the DMO boys showing out. More of the newer guys that have appeared on the British scene the last couple of years as well. It looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a long trip up there and a long trip back, but it's always fun in Scotland. Always fun. Thank
Let us
God
know
I'm not
what
wrestling
else
Necro
have you got.
Butcher. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fair.
My head,
Joe's had his close run-ins.
yeah, my skull is made out of like Play-Doh at this point in time, so I do not need to get punched as hard as you can by an angry Texan. If he is from Texas, I'm not sure.
Fair enough. Well, let us know what else you've got coming up. Where can people see you in action in the next couple of months?
Okay, I'm actually pretty quiet, but on the 26th of April, I got CXW Extreme in Braintree. It's no ropes on the entire show. That'll be interesting. And then the very next day, I've got Kumite in Derby, which is always fun. Not close to home, but it's fun. But then after that, I think I've got a whole month off. So if you're going to book me, book me.
Well, there you go. Well, let's hope there's if anything does happen in the no rope show in Braintree, which I will see you there. At least you got some time to heal up after those two back to back.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Well, if anybody wants to link up with Darko, you can find him on Instagram and Facebook at Danny Darko UK, on Twitter at the Danny Darko UK, his merch stores DannyDarkoUK.com and DeathmatchOutlaws.com. Danny, dude, thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and I shall see you very soon.
See you very soon, mate.
Thanks a lot, man.
Peace.
Have a good one.
You too, man. You too.